All right, and welcome back, everyone, to another episode of this show that we still need to name. Uh, but hey, guys, if you missed last episode, I highly recommend you go back and rewatch that or listen to that. But just as a quick recap, last time we talked about stress, and we talked about how stress in and of itself is actually not a bad thing. Stress, it helps us, when we're in danger. That's the whole, if you're in the jungle and you see a lion, that stress mechanism is going to kick in to help us, to be able to outrun or fight or just whatever it might be. But there's also a difference between that kind of stress and psychological stress. And that's what we talked a lot about last time was psychological stress and how, oftentimes when something happens like, we lose our job and we start dwelling on what happened and we start thinking, why didn't my boss fire this other person or what am I going to do for money now? And all these thoughts end up impacting not just our mental health, but physical health. And so, again, we talked about that. We talked about a few things you can do, such as exercising, reading a book, things like that help to lower your stress. But today, we're going to get into a little bit more, I guess, a little more in depth into stress. And Dad, you want to add a few more things, correct?
Yes. The other thing we have to understand is every time we get engaged in this psychological, state, there's going to be emotions. There's so many emotions that humans experience, and some of these are less pleasant. So normally, the emotions associated with psychological stress are less pleasant. Anger, sadness. There's probably anxiety. There is insecurity, resentment. Some of those emotions, including feeling abandoned. So those are just chemicals. So chemicals that the body is actually floating to the brain. It's just for a call of attention. It's like if the body is telling that one part of the body, which is the brain, hey, stop entertaining those thoughts. Call of attention to us because these excess hormones are going to really affect the cells and everything else that comes along with the biology. So it's just so these emotions are not really bad either, unless we don't really take action. So unless we stay there sitting and crying for days and at a time, or we keep having these dialogues in our mind that it continue to make us feel angry and sad and perhaps with anxiety or resentment. So then, if we don't do anything now, it's another big issue. These emotions that make us feel pain is going to be recorded. It's going to be recorded into our brain, and it's going to be part of the memories of the mind. Eventually, this inability to really control what is taking place in our mind is going to make this emotion, whatever it is, the main part of that is empower our behavior. So we may be rage, or we may be upset all the time, or maybe sad, or perhaps resented, or with anxiety. So these are the dangers that might have dominion over our life. So anytime there is a new event, this emotion is going to be present, and then I'm going to probably act, in a reactive way, or like a reflex, like I raise my voice quickly, or I defend myself quickly, or I just kind of shrink, quickly, maybe cry, quickly. So again, these emotions are not bad, by the way. I'm not saying that it's not bad. It plays a role for a short time. It helps us. We learn from them. We're gonna feel it again. Even if we solve one problem, there's gonna be another issue, and that's the way how life is. And it's important is in the design of our physical body, in the design of our life, so we can learn through the process. So that's something to consider now. There is other things, that it can be a big problem, because we can use our brain to put label to things. See, we can label things. We can label people. And now we run into another big problem. So it becomes the reactive response. The brain is to protect us. And if I keep creeping these thoughts about my neighbor or my friend or my brother, and packing it into my mind, so the brain is going to think that that person is your enemy and supposed to be protect you. So you don't really kind of be friends with your enemy. So now there is chemicals the brain produces so you stay friendly with people. No, oxytocin. So the brain produces oxytocin while you're in front of your son and you put a label to it, or in front of your sister or your brother, your mom, your wife, whatever that label might be. No, he's probably lazy, or she doesn't love me. And that's not only with people, it could be with anything. The weather, money, myself. uh, I can probably have identify myself with things or with honor and money and things I own.
Mm-hmm.
So that can be a real problem because the brain will actually uh, initiate an attack into the person that's coming to the room that you already label as lazy. You may not really little attack with words, or maybe with physical attack. But eventually you will do some words that you don't want to say. But
So
you
these
will
labels,
react.
when we label people or things, that's why, for example, you might. So is that why then you might, like you were mentioning with like your son or maybe your spouse or your mother-in-law, why you might automatically be in their presence and then start feeling angry or wanting to even not be around them, or you see their phone call, you're like, oh, I don't want to answer the phone. Is it
That's
because
correct.
of these labels that you have created?
Yeah, because those labels are orders given to the brain. The brain it's a wonderful, part of our body. It's just amazing what it does, but it also obeys you. Okay, whatever you think, it's whatever you want to believe. Okay, so the brain will arrange circuitries and maps to ensure that will protect you. That's what the brain will always do. So if in my mind I think that my mother-in-law doesn't like me, she's always after me. She wants she wants my wife to divorce me, and all that kind of stuff we put in our mind. So when my mother-in-law shows to a family meeting, or he sends a text or wants to see my kids, then immediately my brain will not produce enough oxytocin. So I will be distanced, even if I'm with her. I might smile, but inside I will feel that, I hope she leaves soon. And, I feel awful. I feel like with pain and suffering, her presence in my brain, which is to protect me, is going to be looking at every mistake she makes. No, I cannot see the goodness that's in her. I will never see that goodness. I will see, the dress that I don't like and the word that she say, and I will interpret. And if she says something, I might think that she wants to control my family. No, those kind of things, it comes automatically. And it's just so horrible. This is like living in a movie that's a horror movie. Okay. And it can happen with your son, he's there, but you don't feel that like hugging him, you just kind of avoid him, or maybe you just react in front of him. Could be with a neighbor, could be with someone. So this is the dangers of living that way, because now why the brain does that? Because it needs to synthesize information. There is things in description of things. No, you got a red shirt right now. Okay, I have a gray shirt. That's a description. It's a gray shirt. No, you got a black hair. Brown eyes. You got glasses. You're tall. It's a description. And of course, the brain in general is not going to describe every detail, everything, but it will call you something, and that's okay. Okay, it will call you a man. So we call you a man. As a community, we all call this thing, and that's not bad. That's not harmful. Okay, it calls you a man. It will call you my son, and then if I will call you Lisa if I know your name, and I will call you an engineer or whatever, and that's not harmful. Okay, that doesn't mean that that's you, no. That's just part of the description. But so if we entertain thoughts that are not productive and not constructive, the brain will do this automatically. Lazy, okay, don't love me, awful person, bad person. So very dangerous position because it's not like I have all the information. Okay? Like if I see I see a fruit, no, I see a banana, and I can smell it, and I can taste it, no. See, and I call it a banana, because that's just a label, so I can tell you about a banana. But there is a lot of information there. There's taste, there's smell, there's shape, but I don't know what a banana is like. No, I can describe it and give you a type, but I don't know how it feels to be a banana. No, so be careful too with what we think we know. Okay, and that's the damage we do with ourselves in our life when we start labeling people. Okay, because
go ahead. Actually, go finish your thought.
Because affect the production of serotonin. I want to be happy and I want to have joy. My mother-in-law is going to come to our home at least, once a month, twice a month, and it's 30 minutes, 20 minutes, 40 minutes. I cannot really live in misery for 40 minutes. That's kind of sick. Okay. I have my kids. They probably live with me or maybe not live with me, but I'm engaging. I got neighbors. So why am I interacting? The opportunity to have joy as I journey through life. So this is the problem, chronic stress. And most people don't understand that they already have chronic stress, because it's very elusive. It's just hard to see other person can. Maybe your wife can decide. She may not tell you. Okay, your son or your mother or your neighbor, they may not tell you. Maybe your wife will tell you. No, if you've been married for more than 3 or 4 years, she will tell you. You know what? There's something wrong. Okay, you seem to be like depressed, or you seem to be angry. Okay, you seem to be under stress. So it's good that we're here because it may be really true. What the other person can see.
So then, okay. So then, when people start creating all these labels on whether it's your mother-in-law, whether it's your father, your brother, whoever it might be, is that a sign of chronic stress, or does that lead to chronic stress?
That's a sign that there's been some kind of suffering, some kind of chatting in the mind with no control. There's been some pain, some suffering, and then incorrect interpretation of things and the perception of the object, whatever that might be, and the experience. As I say, I cannot really know what it is to be a banana. I can tell you, I can even describe you the taste. I can tell you sweet, then what kind of sweetness, it's kind of hard. So the same thing with my mother-in-law or my son, and then to believe that I know, that is a problem. That I know exactly the intention of the other person, that I really understand every detail in the behavior of the person, that is very sick. Okay? We don't know that it's sick because everybody does it. It's part of the society that is actually describing people. And of course, this is not totally bad because I need to really judge things that are really could damage and hurt, physical or in other ways that might affect a person. And I have to really be aware that I have to step in and defend, the person is going to be hurt or myself. I'm not talking about that. That's good. That's when the stress comes and I have adrenaline and cortisol and I kind of have to throw the guy to the floor to protect, a vulnerable person, a little kid, because he's trying to harm somebody or maybe trying to harm me, if that's the case. But in most cases, that's not what is happening daily. But we act like that when really it's been mentally, we act like that. So when we have these interpretations of things and the object, whatever that might be. No, we don't know really, and we have to really accept the fact that we don't have, the truth. We don't have the truth completely. So we have partial amount of information. Okay, so that is something that affects our health.
So then my question then, and this conversation going a little differently than I think we initially intended, but so then my thought is that, okay, it's going to be 2021. By the time we get this up, it might already be 2021. But, a lot of people, they start making resolutions of like, I want to be a better husband. I want to be a better spouse, better brother, whatever it might be. And so what steps could people take then to start, I guess, eliminating these unhealthy labels? Because obviously, like you've been pointing out, if you think your mother-in-law is a witch or she's horrible, she wants my wife to divorce me, then obviously that's going to be an impediment to having a good relationship with her. And
Yeah,
same thing with your sister, or with your boss. And so, what are some steps that people could take to, I guess, start eliminating these unhealthy labels?
Well, our psychological condition, it can put us into a different state. One state is when we are totally confused, lack of discernment. We generalize things. We described this in the previous episode. No? And we say things like, he never understand me. Okay, that's one thing we say about somebody else. This is not truth. He never, like, 24 hours a day, every single second. But we get so encapsulated into that. We repeat this, which is magnifying, the events and the information. So when we live like that, and there are people that live like that all the time, everything is negative. No. So, the skin sense the cold weather, and then they start saying it's horrible. The winter is terrible. Every day is terrible. No, I hate this place. So those are conditions that actually will affect life, and this is a lot of confusion. If that was the case, how come those guys are playing in the snow and laughing? Okay, is it a different winter for me than it is for the little kids and the other adults are playing in the snow? And I'm thinking that this is a horrible thing. So we have to move from that mental condition. That's the first step. Now, it's not easy, okay? Because unfortunately, and it's been proved scientifically, when you believe in something, even if the truth is presented to you and there's evidence, okay, when you stay in that mental condition, you are still going to be doing the same things that you were doing before. This is like actually now with the COVID, we have a lot of this wrong information, no? It comes along through social media, okay? About everything, from vaccines, the mask and everything. Whoever got caught up into that, even if you show evidence, they still won't believe. Okay, and it's not the evidence; it is a condition of the mind, a problem. See, we've been caught up into a dark situation. We don't see it. See, your spouse can come, after some challenges or some clarification, and tell you what is happening. There's still the doubts in the back, in the sense of vigilance. The sense of vigilance for you against your neighbor, your friend. So that is this is the dark part. I mean, we are not totally dark, and that's a good thing. No, but we could get into dark situation. So we have to move out of there. So, and there's hard because being there is just so difficult. You always have to be chatting with your mind. Here shows your sister that it proved that is what happened, or you interpret was not totally truth. I mean, you might listen and say, okay, I forgive you, but then you leave the place. and then the chatter start again. Like these conspiracy theories. There's always something deeper. Oh, maybe this information is to cover up something else. And it's just enough. Hey, and it's so sad. There's so many people, got into that situation. Okay, there is no clarity of mind. Okay, this is living below thoughts, below your mind, where the mind it takes control. So the other condition is when we get out of there, which is good. New Year comes and I say, okay, I'm going to change this coming year. It's a good thing, and we all do that. At the end of the year, say, okay, I'm tired of this. I see that this behavior is creating me suffer. He stole my marriage. He hurt my relationship with my kids. It affect me financially. I can see my body, having some trouble. I'm going to change. That's good. Now we are aware of the effect of this mental condition. See, that means something beyond your physical and your brain is aware. Whoever is observing, you call it the spirit, your soul, your conscience. It doesn't matter. It's not your brain who is doing this. Okay, the brain just record information and follow your directions as the one that is directing and commanding. So we notice, and then we say, okay, I'm going to make changes. I'm gonna make changes in this area. I want to be a better husband. I want to eat better. I start walking, doing exercise. Wonderful. Okay. And now, the problem with this, with many people, is that as soon as you start trying to do something, the chatter and the dialogue start again. Oh my goodness, too cold, too what? Okay. Oh, it's too late. Or, it's too hot, too much hot. Or, my wife didn't give me a good look this morning. Okay. Or my daughter doesn't love me. She just kind of doesn't talk to me. And then these conversations that we entertain, and we are like talking to not to ourselves, because this is just memories. It's not like you at that moment produce that information. It comes. You're in front of your daughter that it doesn't talk to you. Your mind will pop some thoughts just for consideration, just for you to figure out what we do with this. Can I do something? Okay. If you think you can do something, you just do something. If not, you just tell your mind to give you something better to consider. Okay. But most people don't know how to do it. Most people just kick it up on the talking. And then 5 minutes later, a lot of cortisol, it's a hormone that affects our ability to really keep motivated. So it blocks dopamine, and I was excited. Yesterday, that was the 31st, about tomorrow going walking, and then, okay, no, I better do this tomorrow. That's what the mind comes with that thought. And then you keep talking to that thought that you place it yourself, maybe a year ago, or 20 years ago, or maybe every day. No, I'll do that tomorrow. So it's recorded. So, and then you start talking, oh, yeah, maybe I should do this tomorrow. Yeah, because, what, today I don't feel good. There's no energy. No, tomorrow's going to be better. And then tomorrow comes, and then a new event comes, and then this day was crappy because you keep thinking about your wife and, does she love me? Maybe she doesn't love me, or maybe I'm not good enough. Am I getting old? Maybe I'm getting fat and she doesn't think I'm so attractive, or perhaps it's her mother-in-law, it's her mom, the one that's been telling stories to her. It's just so crazy. Okay? But this is to laugh, really, because we are in the present moment, the one that's commanding, is supposed to command this mind, is talking to, just to call it, a machine. It's not a machine. The brain is just wonderful part of our physical body. That's so many amazing things. But we're talking to a recorder, which is talking back to us. So I tell him tomorrow, and the brain say, yeah, because, it was too cold. Oh, and by the way, you're so late for this. And, oh, by the way, your cousin, send a text, and, oh, yeah, this is awful. And then you start doing that, and then more adrenaline, more cortisol, less serotonin, less dopamine. Have a crappy day, you get upset with your cat, you kick him. Okay, go to work and see the traffic, and there's more conversation. And then, of course, you with a lack of energy the next day or that night. Maybe you have another argument, or maybe you do something. You say, okay, this conversation is just making me suffering. Let me just go and drink alcohol. See if I can put some anesthetic to the mind. It works. Or maybe smoke a cigarette, or maybe you just go into something. But it doesn't really, remove the mental condition. When you're out of that, the effect of the beer, or the cigarette, or the cup of coffee, you go back again to the same thing. And that's what the reason why most of us, we quit after, a few days, some the very same day. But it's maybe you are a fighter and you say, I'm going to fight against this. No, I'm going to just keep going tomorrow. You just don't go the next day and the next day. And, it's so overwhelming after 15 days. It is your boss and your wife and the kids and the dog, and it's the money and the weather, and it's the government, the vaccines, and, this thing and what you hear. And 15 days later, it's a lot of this dopamine that you have when you start creating this, projecting your goals. It is true. No, there's no motivation anymore. And you finally say, oh, I'm a loser. Can't do this anymore. I'm going to ignore that I have this goal, and I'm going to start thinking other things. Oh, yeah, the guy that keep doing it is because he's proudful and he is, has an ego. That's why he's doing it. He keep going to do exercise. It's just mind-boggling how crazy this is. And you continue with this conversation, for probably another 10, 12 months until, maybe you lose your job, maybe, or lose money, or maybe, something happened and you might say, geez, I really need to change. Maybe you stop taking alcohol. Maybe you say, I need to do exercise, or maybe I need to meditate, or I need to pray, or you do other good things, okay, that will help you. I need to start running. It helps you. This is a good way to start getting out. So this is the second phase, when you finally, okay, do good things, okay, to quiet your mind. Exercise, meditating, serving somebody else, praying, whatever you do. Watching a movie with your wife, no, playing some game. This is good. This is a good way to have this. It's satisfaction that will quiet the mind. Of course, it's not going to deal with the problems, because when you finish playing the game with your kids, 20 minutes later, the chatter began again. Okay, or when you finish, doing whatever was fun. So this is a better condition than the one that being totally blind and being with this continued chatting. At least you have something you do that helps. No? But it doesn't bring you happiness, because when you're not doing the exercise, you go back again to feeling unhappy and suffering. So there is a better way than that. Yeah. Not that that's bad. It's good that you do the exercise and have intimacy with your spouse, and read a book and watch a movie and laugh and play and dance. That's so good. It's just a gift for all of us. That to distress us, it's a gift. We all can do that. But then we have to grow up and come to the conclusion that I really need to understand this better and have control over this part of our body, which is here, in case all that information, and command, say, I don't want to listen to that, and then you decide to start the conversation. So it takes a little practice, but anyway, so that's when you get to a point where, independently of what is happening, you may go through a challenge, got the pain, you deal with that, pain is gone, and you don't suffer. The problem maybe is not solved completely. You're good. You're peaceful inside. You enjoy the next meal. You don't have to cry all day. You don't have to be angry all day because you understand better. So that is a point where you can actually have this control finally in your life. And then you can have joy. Okay? And that's the reason we're here. We're here to have joy. Okay, not we cannot get joy with pleasure and satisfaction. Okay, there's good pleasure. There's some pleasure that are not really healthy, no, like smoking or drinking or trying to jump from a bungee jumping. What is it called that? Something dangerous. No, you can do have good pleasure, no? Exercise, reading, all that stuff. But you can make that the only tool you can use to quiet your mind. See, you, the commander, whoever you think you are, can do this. Okay, and there is some exercise we would like to teach today. We're going to have a lot of different episodes. This is not be the only one we can teach you. So for now, the one thing I want to share with you is in regard to the ability of the body to help your mental state. So, and I guess you want us to teach the audience something they can do, no?
Yeah.
When they're in the stars. Okay. And there's a lot of different good things that people have been teaching through decades and centuries. Okay. And most of the things are good. Okay. So your body, it is a great tool to help you. The mind, again, just want to describe, it is information that's recorded from your life and whatever beliefs that you accept from this society and our communities and tribes, and the emotions that are there. So that you got to understand. You are not your mind. Okay, that's just an instrument that will help you navigating through life as you live here. If this is not clear, it's going to be hard to really understand this. Okay, and of course it's hard because we believe that this is what it is, only what I can see, no? So the other part that you need to understand that emotions are important. Okay, they're not to hurt you unless you don't resolve the problem and you decide to entertain these not constructed thoughts. No. So, and then since your body can help you, if we're looking from the scientific point of view, stress is about an abundance, excess cortisol, and some other 10 hormones, stress hormones, running through the bloodstream. Just imagine your entire body. It has about 70 trillion cells. They are all flooded, and with the chemicals and components of the blood. And there's oxygen and nutrients and hormones and everything there. So every cell is irrigated by whatever is running through this. There's about 50,000 miles of blood vessels. So every single cell has to receive nutrition through these little tiny blood vessels. So whatever is dumping to the bloodstream is going to really affect the entire body. So, and since the blood is running, cycling continuously through your entire body, every cell, it has an impact on whatever is there. The blood is, the components. So when it's stressed, you're going to see a lot of these stress hormones. Stress hormones tell the body not to heal at this moment because there is a bigger issue outside. There's a tire that's going to itch. So there's important organs that are going to be suspending activities for healing, regeneration, detoxification, okay, and cleansing. So this is what stress do, hormones. Not a bad deal, because the energy needs to be saved for your muscles. Now, it works well when it's a real danger, you have to run. So you use the extra energy in the muscles, and then everything goes back to normal. When it's psychological, it's a big problem. A lot of these chemicals are going to affect the way how you think. Okay, inability to really see the entire picture. You're gonna be focused. Okay, it's not generic. The whole thing is not clear. You focus, okay, in whatever can save you. Jump through the cliff to save your life. Climb to the tree, leave the car, jump from the car if it was a truck coming to you. So that is good. So there's the focus. When it's psychological stress, it's going to be the same. So the brain is not going to work the same way. You're going to focus on the danger, your mother-in-law and everything she does, your sister, your brother, yourself, the weather, whatever it is. So now there is a particular chemical that you put in your body all day long. It's oxygen. Okay. So if you do a technique on respiration, that it helps to lower cortisol, lower adrenaline. And that's what you need. Once when the adrenaline is lower, now there is an ability to think a little bit clearly. Because as far as the hormones are running around your body, the body will continue, sending chemicals of stop, which is the emotions. No, you don't listen, the chemicals are going to be felt in a way as pain, okay, sadness or anger, or whatever it might be inside. So as far as you continue putting adrenaline and cortisol in the bloodstream, that's going to be a continuous, it's like playing ping pong, okay? You rain throw the ball with all the thoughts that you entertain, the body responds with emotions. You keep doing it, and then it's just continue. The game doesn't end. So you're going to have cortisol level high, chemicals of emotion high. And as far as the chemical emotion high, there is no way how you can think clearly. So you can use this breathing exercise that will help. We use oxygen as a way. The body produces carbon dioxide as a byproduct after you do your respiration, and you're burning, and you're making energy. So when you breathe, okay, basically you are expelling carbon dioxide. So this exercise is pretty simple. It's not going to change your mind and make you an angel, and may change the way you think about your wife or the weather or whatever, but it gives you a break. Okay, the break that you might need to think clearly and look a little bit better from a more wider perspective. Okay, and that's what you want at that moment. When you're under stress, if you're afraid, you're constantly afraid because of your thoughts, that we're crossing the ball from emotions to thoughts, and it just not stop. You can't make right decisions. You're going to screw it big time. So we got to use this body mechanism. So this is the exercise, okay? You're going to breathe, slowly, okay? And then after you breathe, hold your breath, and then for 2 seconds. You breathe for about 4 seconds, hold your breath for 2, and then you exhale for about 6. So when you do it, be sure that you don't use your tummy, you go to the side. So your thorax is going or your body goes to the side. So you breathe, and I'll do it this way as an example. Breathe, hold it, and exhale. You can use either, your nose for inhaling and your mouth for exhaling, or use your nose for inhaling and exhaling. It's okay. If you can do it because you have some respiratory issues, doing it in a shorter period of time, maybe inhale for 2 seconds, hold it for 1 second, exhale for 4. Okay. So, and then you will increase. So what is the science behind it? It is that when you're breathing, in the way how you mentioned, you're expanding on the side, your thorax. Now you give more room to your heart. So there's little space around the heart. So as you open your thoracic muscles, so the heart will have a little bit more room. Okay, that's a good thing. No. as you're exhaling, for a longer period of time, you're moving carbon dioxide more than you have got oxygen inside. So the holding part, okay, when you hold it 2 seconds on the breathing, it will help, okay, to your cells in you call ovules in your lungs, okay. It will have to interact with your red cells, okay, in a more efficient way. So you can pick up a lot of more carbon dioxide. So when you exhale, you got a lot more carbon dioxide. Okay? So this is a good way to decompress from your stress. Mm-hmm. So will that help you to be a great husband if you haven't? No. Will help you to take your life under control. But then you have to do the rest, which is learn how to really control your mind and do the thing. This is not really an easy task. It requires efforts, it requires time, it requires for you to commit to really improve your life. Now, understanding, knowledge is vital. Knowledge is not going to change you. But like what we're hearing now is good. We all understand better things. Maybe some of you feel, okay, this is what I'm waiting for a long time to hear. And you say, okay, I'm going to take some of this. And that's good. But without the effort, it's just going to be intellectual knowledge. And that it won't help you. Okay? You can teach a lesson. But then when you're in front of your spouse, you're going to blow again. Okay? And of course, your spouse might say, you're a hypocrite. Okay? Why you don't apply the concepts you've been teaching? And that's what most of us, we do. We go to church, we learn some wonderful principles about living in community and others and love. And then we gossip in front of our kids or in our own mind about somebody else. So that is kind of a terrible thing. Okay. And that's part of the problem we live as a society. So, okay. And this is one of the many things we're going to be teaching through these episodes. I think you have a comment you were making about the effect of this. If we don't learn how to do this, effect in the body, I think you sent me something to discuss that.
Yeah. So, and I think we'll probably end on this, maybe this note, and then we'll wrap up. So, I guess just last question is, if we don't learn how to, I guess, more take control of our mind, if we don't learn to manage our stress, then what effects, what's gonna happen to us if we don't learn to do that?
Potentially, well, we know the effect with our environment. No, potentially we can lose our spouse, or kid that doesn't want to talk to us, or have some problem at work. We can have mental issues because these conditions are maintaining a lot of stress, and these emotions as controlling, being the dominion of life, can affect the way how the brain cleanses, because this is something that is important to understand. So we can have some issues related to memory. We can affect the production of certain proteins, and plaques can be formed that affect this memory, and some people will probably end up with Alzheimer's and some other mental issues. That's one thing. The other part is that most people don't really connect it to, because they don't understand the physiology. Is that this condition, these excess stress hormones, affect the body, will affect our biology, the way how our body uses energy. So we can probably gain more weight. Metabolic rate can change, can lead us to diabetes, can lead us to high blood pressure, can lead us to production of cholesterol, can affect us our sleep, can induce damage into the immune system. Immune cells get affected. And of course, our hormonal system can be out of balance, which is a big, because these chemicals are produced all over the body in different organs, play a tremendous role into our health, mental and physical. So a disbalance on hormones. That's, it's some of the many issues that can take place. And of course, it makes us unhappy, staying there. We're going to be unhappy Because if we get sick, then it's one more thing beside the fact that I believe my wife doesn't like me. Okay. And then the inflammation caused by this condition. Now I got the pain. I got to deal with that too. Then, of course, it costs me money to go and, treat myself. One more problem. And then it costs me my attention to my family because I go in between doctors and other stuff and not feeling good. So very detrimental, very detrimental. Most people don't understand, the implication of this condition that we are, or we may be in one of those conditions, very noisy dialogues, or, hooking to just calming our mind by using substance or doing things just to avoid, handling this problem.
And I think also a lot of us, we just think that, living that way is just how life is. A lot of us think, me thinking about my boss this way, that's just life. That's just when it's really not. That's not life. That's not how life is supposed to be. That leads to, as you've said, leads to suffering.
Yeah, there are corrections that I make along the way, because life is benevolent. If I'm going the wrong path, something may happen that may wake me up. Maybe there's a behavior from one of my kids, and I may be thinking, no, geez, I got to change. Okay. I mean, some people will blame everybody, but look into what is to improve from that. Maybe there is something that happened. Perhaps I'll change. But of course, not everybody take advantage of a situation that takes place to improve their life.
Mm-hmm.
Percentage of people do.
Yeah, I think it's also just culturally accepted that, it's okay to hate your boss. It's okay to talk bad about, your sister behind her back. And all these things that lead to, as you mentioned, all these labels and lead to this chronic stress. Like unfortunately, a lot of it is culturally accepted.
Yeah, and it's very sad because this is what it creates all the problems in politics and religious groups too. That they fight with each other, and even people in their own religious community, or the tribes and the family, and then this is what it makes what is taking place in the society. More prisons, more laws and more rules and more of this and more of that. And and the focus of understanding what really is taking place in our life is something that most people dismiss, because we believe we want to see everything. We need the pill that can change me. There's people that will listen to us and will say, okay, give me the quickest, cheapest way how I can turn my life around.
In 24 hours.
So my wife can love me, and my son can come and see how wonderful I am, because I think I'm wonderful. Okay, it might be just an illusion.
For sure. All right. Well, I think we're going to wrap up for today's episode. But we will going off of what you were just talking about, or what you were talking about recently with the different issues that the chronic stress and all these things lead to. I think in the next upcoming episodes we'll dive a little more into that. We'll probably start with hormone, how it affects us hormonally, and we'll go from there. So thank you, Dad, for your time, and I hope
Thank you. I love you, and I love everybody. Say hello to little Celeste and the baby.
Will do.
Bye-bye. Thank you.